AWS on Air, live from reInvent. Today I'm joined by AWS and Amazon Studios. So my name's Sydney. I have Jeff here, Ron, Jesse, and Brandon. So would you guys like to introduce yourselves very quickly?
Hi, I'm Brandon Lindauer. I am a content production specialist and solution architect at Amazon Web Services.
I am Ron Ames, and I was one of the producers on Lord of the Rings of Power.
And I'm Jesse Kobayashi. I was the VFX producer on the Rings of Power.
Yeah, and my name is Jeff Marushak. I'm a senior solutions architect on our DoD Air Force team. And this was the segment that I've been looking forward to all day today. It's probably my favorite segment, so I'm excited to talk about this. We know how visually amazing this series was, and we're here to talk about the visual effects and the cloud-based production. But let's start first. How much of the show was special effects versus live videotaping?
So this is a really interesting question, and I don't even like to call visual effects because they are truly modern filmmaking. So it is a question of safety or creating things that are not in nature. When you have dwarves and elves and fantastic beasts, it couldn't possibly be live action.
Right.
It must be, by the nature of the story, something that is created. But somehow or other people are concerned or think that somehow it's not that practical is everything. In fact, 71% of our show had some form of visual effect to it. But that might be as simple as a blemish fix or as full as a
volcano erupting?
CG or Mount Doom erupting.
All right.
Love it.
But it's a fantastic question. And I think people think, oh, it was CG, like somehow or other that's shameful. In fact, everything that we created was created in nature. We started with actual physical reality and then brought that in and put that together to create a pastiche or an image.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Wow, that's super neat. So what would you like to share with us today? Like, if you could get just a couple points across, what would be the message that you'd like us to hear?
Yeah, so I think it's important to point out, Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power was one of the first productions, TV shows, to do end-to-end production in the cloud. And they had to overcome a lot of obstacles. There were a lot of reasons for that. But it is actually a great use case to show that you can do modern filmmaking 100% completely in the cloud with AWS.
Awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talk about really tough problems that using the cloud can help you solve by saving money, by using economies of scale. And we tend to, I do some video editing. I sort of know what's involved, and I know, like, there were times when I had to wait for a video card so I could process 4K video. But so I can imagine if I could have done that in the cloud, that could have been really advantageous. So tell us how you dealt with during COVID, when everyone was home, how the production in the cloud helped you proceed with Rings of Power.
So at the beginning of the production, when we started reading the scripts and looking at the outlines, we knew that the tools that we were using for traditional tracking, it's interesting because Brandon said TV show, film. We're neither a TV show nor a film. We are a unique new thing, which is a streaming blockbuster kind of a show. It's a new thing.
Yeah.
And so we knew at that scale, we couldn't use the tools we normally use. We were going to have to use new tools. So our intention was to use a cloud-based production methodology from the beginning. And we had started to build that. But when COVID struck, and we were told that, and Jesse could talk about this in more detail, that we had to shut down. We said, we can't shut down, we have to continue, or we won't make our deadlines. So we continued. It took us a weekend to get our teams fully situated, and within that next Monday, we were all working cloud-based because we had already started to build the backbone.
Wow.
Yeah, I just want to underline the fact that before I even joined, Ron had made some deals with the folks at Amazon Studios and AWS to make sure that we had all the cloud storage, all the virtual processing that we would need to deliver a show of this size. So as Ron mentioned, when COVID ran around, we actually were ready and prepared for it. It really was just literally a slight mental shift to get to the place where we're used to working from afar versus in an office. But we had accessibility to all of our media, all of our materials in the same kind of speed and efficiency we're used to working to in the office.
And I would say, COVID aside was just an accelerator to a challenge that we already had. Now we're way beyond that. Hybrid working and scalability and all the things. And as you said, virtual machines. If we need a machine, a powerful machine, we can spin up a processor way more powerful than we would take weeks or months to order that piece of equipment. That afternoon, Jesse can deliver all of the material to platform the next morning. So it's like, it's insane.
And when you're done with it, you turn it off, and you're done paying for it.
That is correct.
Benefits of the cloud.
Changes everything. So I would love to know, was there any hurdles, non-technical or technical, that you had to overcome throughout the process of production?
So there was lots of, because being the first always has a challenge, which is we didn't know what we were doing at all. And when I talk about it, it sounds linear. When we were doing it, it wasn't linear. We'd look at each other and scratch our chins and say, how do we do this? So there was all kinds of hurdles, but I would say the real challenge was that cultural, getting everybody to join in and trust that in fact something in the cloud is more secure and accessible than a normal spinning disk. But once everybody bought in and everybody was willing to work together, that became, that changed it all. But it was all for one and one for all.
Yeah. The culture shift, the where the work is done, that's huge. So you said you're one of the pioneers of this. Wow. I mean, it changes everything. It really does.
I don't think of it that way, but it's like we had to come up with a solution, so this was it. And I truly believe in it.
Ron and Jesse truly are thought leaders in the industry. It's really incredible what they were able to pull off.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, it's funny, we talk about like microservice applications and different app teams working on different pieces of the puzzle. This is sort of the same thing. Like, so we have an org specialty graphics team. They can do their thing in the cloud, and then we have the horses, we have the real horse, and we can make the model horses. We have another team working on that all at the same time, and all the data is together, and when you're done, you turn it off. So all the production data, well, I was gonna say is you could probably turn it off when it's done, but there's going to be another season. You mentioned earlier on when you were reading the script, so that would tell me that you're probably reading the next script right now, right?
So at the end of season 1, we were able to, and I'll let Jesse talk more about this as well, we were able to, the last day, we were already wrapped. And every asset, every model, every horse, every character, every sword, anything that we had built as an asset was stored, and season 2 started with all of that. So art department, whatever the new scripts were, we knew what we'd already built, and anything new, and I can't tell you, but there'll be lots of cool new stuff, it is now being built, but with all that other stuff already being built.
Yeah, I think the term we've started to use is just archive as workflow. So traditionally, archive is kind of thought of as the kind of last stage in the process. Not for us, because we're using AWS. We're storing all that material, like you mentioned, horses, scans, all the 3D materials. That's all available. So when we comes down to wrap, we're actually not turning it off. We're actually just handing the keys over to that season 2 team, who's got all of that material all ready to use.
Wow.
You're going to be kind of ready to go, right, when production starts.
So production has started. And it's in the press, so I can say this. They're already shooting away in London, and they're already making full use of everything we did on season 1. So.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us, Ron, Jesse, Brandon. Thank you for being here. This is AWS On Air session. We'll be back soon.